Soyinka paid a courtesy visit to President Bola Ahmed TINUBU, who is vacationing in Lagos for the Christmas holiday, and presented a 7-point agenda on ways to move the country forward. The Nobel laureate, who is an advocate for good governance, told newsmen after the visit that it will be too early for him to criticize the president, saying that he will give him 1 year to find his bearing. Soyinka went further to state that as a routine, he stays away from criticizing governments before they exhaust their first year in office. Let's take a listen.
Well, actually, it's an embarrassing visit, because when I visited him the last time, it was to try and persuade him not to run for office. I think I've written about that. I told Atiku and himself that they should please leave the grounds for young people. That was the last time we met, about 5 years ago. And I call him secretly Olori Kunkun, a stubborn man. So he ignored my advice completely. So I came to see how he was doing after neglecting my advice. Wanted to see if both he and his wife were weathering Nigeria as well as can be expected, and to wish them a happy Christmas. He's an old friend, as you know very well. And it was as a friend that I told him, don't run, leave this thing alone. But he ignored me.
Now that he has decided to run, like Olori Kunkun you called him, are you convinced otherwise now?
Well, you know, something you may have noticed about me, that most heads of state, when they take office, I always leave them alone for about the first year. I don't know if you've seen that, if you've noticed that. Because they need, I know when they come in, they don't start from ground zero. They often start even lower than ground zero, and they have to make up. So I have this personal policy, whether it's Obasanjo or Buhari or Jonathan, you'll notice that during the first year, I hardly ever say anything. And then people ask me, why are you not talking? I say, go and ask the last person whether I spoke during the first year. So I'm adopting the same principle this year. At the end of 1 year, ask me that question.
So what would you like to see him do in the next...
That's very simple. I came here with a 7-point agenda. And we had a very thorough discussion.
All right, Dr. Bati, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, they're saying that it was quite an embarrassing visit because he had told the president not to run. But now he's presented a 7-point agenda, not an 8-point one. I wonder what those items are that he's about to discuss. But, you know, he had him saying that he's not, going to criticize the president until after 1 year goes by. What do you make of that?
Well, fair enough.
Yes.
I mean, Professor Wole Soyinka went to visit the president who is in Lagos at the moment for the Christmas holidays. You don't expect him to leave his house immediately and start condemning him. That would not, be the kind of, standard civility that people expect. But more important is the point that Professor Soyinka made about the fact that when Nigerian presidents get to office, they start from below ground zero. And, in this particular case of the TINUBU administration, we have heard from Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy, who told us that, look, they met an economy that had completely almost collapsed. We had similar comments from Yemi Cardoso, the CBN governor. Of course, we have heard from Minister Adelabu, who said that things were so bad that President TINUBU cannot even contemplate further removing electricity subsidy after he had announced the removal of fuel subsidy on day one. So, in other words, that confirms also what Professor Soyinka is saying, that many presidents start from below ground zero. It's like they need to repair what they are meeting on the ground. And he has said, speaking for himself, that he will give the TINUBU administration 1 year before he can begin to make any critical comment. And that's why I said that's fair enough. 1 year is enough for a government to settle down. He says he has presented before President TINUBU a 7-point agenda, which in a sense is also irreversible, because he said he had advised him not to run. That he said, look, the younger generation should be allowed to take over. He and Atiku should allow young people. But he ignored his advice. Now that he's there, he's Nigerian president, well, we all have to work with him. And he says, okay, this is my own 7-point agenda. You have 8-point agenda. Look at the two together and see what you can do.
Yeah.
1 year's time, if you have not moved the needle in any significant manner, everyone knows, Professor Soyinka's, reputation as a conscience of the nation, as a man who is never timid in speaking truth to power and saying his mind. And of course, he has all the facilities that you can imagine, intellectual, creative, to be able to put his hands on, the exact point.
Right.
So we wait and we watch.
Right.
You will be watching the TINUBU administration as we too are watching here.
Yes.
We may intervene before 1 year, 1 year time, because every day we are monitoring.
I think we've been speaking,
thing.
Dr. Bati. What you were trying to say earlier was how to make Nigeria great. That's the American slogan.
Yes.